Hello Clothing Construction 1 and welcome to boot camp. I'm going to give you a little video close-up look at some of the parts on the machine so you can start to become familiar with them. So to turn the machine on, it's over here on the side, and there are 3 settings on there. 0 means it's off, 1 means that it is turned on without a light, and up at the top there you'll see 1 with a little light bulb. That means the light is on. So you have to be careful with this feature because when you click it one time, the light goes off and you may think that the machine is turned off when in fact it's still engaged. So you definitely want to make sure that when you turn the machine off, you click it 2 times all the way down to the 0 position. Really important part on the sewing machine is here on the side. You use this all the time. This will probably be the part of the machine that you touch the most often. It's called a hand wheel, and the way that you can remember the name is that it's round like a wheel and you use your hand to operate it. You can sew with no electricity by turning the hand wheel. The hand wheel turns all the parts of the machine as you sew. So it turns counterclockwise. And the way I tell people to remember which direction to turn it is that you're in control of the machine, so you turn it towards you because you're the one in control. And you'll see that with the electricity on, it turns in that direction towards you. So if you forget which way, you can just do that if there's no thread in the machine and see which way to turn it. So that is the hand wheel. Up here on the top of the machine you have what's called a spool pin, and that's where you place a spool of thread. This little thing right here, this is a bobbin, and that goes inside the lower part of the machine. When you learn how to wind a bobbin, this is the pin where you place the bobbin, and then you will push it over, and we'll learn how to do that later. But that holds the bobbin, this little metal piece right here. Okay, when you get to the sewing machine, you need to check to see that all the settings are on normal straight stitch settings. So before you begin to sew or even thread your machine, go ahead and look at all the settings, and we'll look at that now. This is the tension dial. You never change that. The tension is set on this machine, and you shouldn't, and we don't need to change that. But always check that the red line is lining up, because if someone doesn't know what the dial does and they think they're changing the stitch length or making it a zigzag stitch, they may move this dial. So always just give a quick look, and it's easy to see because it's red. That has to line up. The machine most likely will be in this setting all the time. This machine does a lot of different stitches, but for regular sewing, it should be, we use this green setting. It's stitch number 1 and stitch number 2. It's basically your straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. And that should be in that position. To change this setting, you have to move the dial over, this lever over to the side, and then put it in place. And we will learn how to do different stitches for one of our sewing skills. But for now, in this setting, you can make a buttonhole, you can do a straight stitch, and you can do a zigzag stitch. The other dial that you'll always check is this one up here at the top. There's 2 functions going on here. One is for a zigzag stitch. When it's on 0, that means there's no zigzag. That's your straight stitch. So that's what you'll want to check for, that it's on 0. To change for a zigzag stitch, you turn the dial. When it's on 5, you'll get the widest setting. And we'll do some practicing with that when we get to that point. But you'll check that it's on 0. This right here changes the needle position, and that happens automatically when we're making a buttonhole. If you look over here at the needle, when I move that dial, you'll see the needle is shifting back and forth. Now, what happens is when students learn how to do a zigzag stitch, they move this, and they think they're changing the zigzag stitch. Well, you're not. You're changing the needle position. So make sure that's in the center. And when you want to change the zigzag, you turn this dial. So there's a dial and a knob. I guess that's how we can differentiate that. This is for buttonhole. This is for changing the buttonhole. This can only turn in one direction. You can't turn it the other way. So if this gets turned, just remember you can only go one direction. And you'll see as I'm turning this that the zigzag and the needle position changed, and that's what helps to make the buttonhole. But this should be here. Down here, this knob right here regulates the stitch length. Our normal stitch length is at 2.5. If I asked you to do a basting stitch, you turn the knob and that will make a wider stitch. And you can see over here it shows different stitch lengths. So by turning the knob, set it on the basic stitch length is 2.5. When we do a buttonhole, we go up to 0 and we do a half a turn down to start. That's a smaller stitch for a buttonhole. Our regular stitch though is 2.5, so you'll line it up there at 2.5. The other dials that you'll check are down here on the bottom. We're doing the green stitch, so this line should be over on green. It should not be on red, it should be over here. And down here, this line should be pointing towards the zigzag stitch and straight stitch. If it gets turned over there, it drops the feed dog for darning, and we don't use that, so keep it over here. So those are your basic dials, and that's what you'll want to be checking when you get to your machine, that you have it on a straight stitch and it's 2.5-inch stitch length, and that the tension is, the red line is matching up. So we're going to turn the hand wheel now and see all the parts of the machine that move. So I'm turning the hand wheel towards me, and if you see here, this is called the take-up lever. That is what pulls the top thread up to make a stitch in the fabric. When the thread goes down, that pulls it back up. Every time you start and stop, every time you finish sewing, the take-up lever should be in the up position. The take-up lever should not be down here. If it's down there, use the hand wheel, turn it, and that will move the take-up lever. We also see down here that we've got the feed dog, which are these little teeth right here. And that's what helps pull the fabric through the machine. So those feed dogs go up and down as the machine turns, and I'm controlling all this with the hand wheel. And also the needle is going up and down. So all the parts of the machine that you need to sew work when you turn the hand wheel. We have the take-up lever, the feed dog, and the needle. Another part that's moving, to open up the bobbin case, there's a little notch here. You can just take your finger and open that up. When the hand wheel or the machine is operating, we have the bobbin case is working. When you learn how to thread the machine, you'll need to take the bobbin case out. There's a little lever right here. You just take that with your finger and your thumb and you can pull the bobbin case out. Always make sure that when you leave your machine, you put the bobbin case back in the machine. You'll have to take your bobbin out, but you want to put the case back in. Again, you can use this little flap. Now there's a finger on here on the bobbin that's sticking straight up. When you put that in the machine, there's actually a little notch that it fits exactly in there, and you have to make sure it lines up correctly. So when you put it in, you'll hear a click sort of if you push it in there. You want to make sure it's straight up. If it isn't in properly, it will spin around and it will get jammed and sometimes lock in place. So whenever I put the bobbin case in, I always take my finger and wiggle it to make sure that it's locked in place, because that finger sets up into a little part in the machine. It lines up perfectly in there. Alright, another part of the machine that you're using all the time, it lifts and lowers the presser foot. It's the presser foot lever, and it's here on the back of the machine. So I usually reach my hand through here and I lift and lower it this way. So you can lower it and lift it. When you lift and lower the presser foot, don't let the foot slam down like that. Use control to guide it down and to lift it up, and again to put it down. So the main parts, besides checking for all the settings on the machine, the main parts that you use when you're sewing are you're using the hand wheel, which you always turn towards you, and then you'll place your fabric or what you're sewing in here, and you'll lower the presser foot and sewing. So it's a lot with the presser foot lever and the hand wheel are the main things that you're using. And I think that's it for the machine right now.